It began like countless other interstellar detections, a moving speck of light, fast, cold, and anonymous. Astronomers tracked it, logged it, and named it 3I Atlas. But something about this one unsettled even the most composed scientists. At first glance, it was just another traveler, moving at a blistering 60 kilometers per second, fast enough to escape the sun's gravity forever. Yet as data accumulated, the sense of routine began to fracture. The numbers didn't line up. The path didn't fit. And the silence between the data points began to whisper that something was wrong. The initial reports described a massive object, somewhere between 3 and 7 meters wide, already making it the largest interstellar visitor ever recorded. But its movement wasn't natural. The orbit wasn't behaving like it should. Tiny deviations appeared, first subtle, then undeniable. It wasn't a software glitch, and it wasn't random noise. Something was pushing it, but no known force could explain how or why. For the first time in years, seasoned astronomers began using words they usually avoided. Anomaly. Deviation. Artificial. Every object in the cosmos obeys the same fundamental rules. Gravity dominates, radiation complicates, but motion always leaves a traceable reason behind it. Except this time. When orbital analysts laid 3I Atlas's predicted path against its actual one, the lines no longer matched. Every new measurement confirmed the inconsistency. Observatories from Hawaii to Chile, from Europe to Asia, verified the same thing: the drift was real, deliberate, patterned. Residuals, the small gaps between prediction and observation, told the story most clearly. They weren't scattered or random, they leaned consistently in one direction. No natural process should behave that way. When every known physical force, gravitational pulls, solar radiation, gas jets, was accounted for, the difference still remained. Something unseen was influencing it. And it wasn't nature. When the James Webb Space Telescope turned its attention toward the object, researchers hoped its advanced instruments would explain the mystery. Instead, they deepened it. The spectral analysis showed an extraordinary carbon dioxide to water ratio, 8:1. That's 8 times more carbon dioxide than water vapor, completely reversing the usual chemistry of comets. It was as though this object's composition didn't belong to our cosmic neighborhood at all. Nickel levels spiked dramatically, while iron, normally dominant, was almost absent. Its gas emissions were steady but far too weak to account for its sustained course correction. It wasn't acting like a comet, a rock, or an asteroid. It was acting like something responding to something else. This wasn't the first time humanity had seen such a mystery. In 2017, an object called Oumuamua had displayed an unexplained acceleration after its closest pass to the Sun. It, too, lacked jets or visible propulsion. Scientists debated hydrogen ice, radiation pressure, or unknown outgassing. None of it fit neatly. Now, 3I Atlas was repeating the pattern, but on a scale hundreds of times larger. The similarities were undeniable, but the magnitude changed everything. To move an object this massive, the force would need to be continuous and precise, something nature doesn't do at random. At first, theories poured in. Maybe internal fragmentation. Maybe exotic materials reacting with solar winds. But privately, a few researchers dared to ask the question that haunted everyone: what if it's moving on purpose? Not in the sense of science fiction, not ships or visitors, but as an engineered relic. A probe designed to move subtly, to blend in among comets and debris, until a civilization like ours became advanced enough to notice the pattern. The residuals, once mathematical noise, began to look like coded intent. A message written not in light or sound, but in motion itself. The drift wasn't chaotic. It was elegant. consistent. As though the object was tracing a sentence across the void. And in physics, elegance often signals design. Could the shift itself be a signal? Not a transmission of radio waves or beacons, but a gesture, a slow cosmic nod saying, "We are here. Notice us." As evidence mounted, internal communications within space agencies revealed growing unease. NASA and ESA data reviews avoided the word artificial, opting instead for phrases like unresolved acceleration or anomalous non-gravitational force. Some teams began filtering the unexplained portions of data entirely, treating them as contamination. It was as though humanity's own equations were rebelling against their creators, refusing to fit a universe that had just become bigger, stranger, and more aware. Then came the silence. As 3I Atlas slipped behind the sun, out of sight of every telescope, the world watched and waited. For weeks, the object was gone. And when it reappeared, its trajectory had changed again, subtly, perfectly, as though corrected mid-course. Not deflected by solar activity. Adjusted. The kind of precision correction you'd expect from navigation, not randomness. It had shifted just enough to place itself closer to Earth's orbital plane. Not on a collision course, but close enough to feel deliberate. Natural objects don't do that. They pass through once, on their way out of the solar system forever. But this one looked like it wanted to stay. To linger. To observe. And that realization changed everything. Across research forums, whispers began to emerge. What if these interstellar objects, Oumuamua, Borisov, now Atlas, were not isolated coincidences but a series of checkpoints? Not visitors but watchers. Ancient probes left to monitor the evolution of civilizations capable of noticing them. They don't transmit, they don't land, they just exist, quietly, precisely, invisibly. And when one finally behaves strangely enough for us to notice, it means we've reached the level of awareness required to join the conversation. Historical parallels began surfacing. Ancient records spoke of stars that moved against the heavens, comets that appeared to stop in the sky, or lights that defied prediction. For centuries, those were dismissed as superstition. Now, viewed through the lens of modern astronomy, they began to look eerily familiar. Maybe 3I Atlas isn't the first. Maybe it's part of a much older cycle, one that civilizations before us also witnessed and misunderstood. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, orbital reconstructions revealed something even more disquieting. The new trajectory wasn't a flyby path. It was a long, stable ellipse, a parking orbit, meaning the object wasn't leaving. It was staying within the solar system. It would return, again and again, like a cosmic pendulum. If that's true, then this isn't a one-time encounter. It's a recurring visitation. When plotted backward in time, the trajectories of Oumuamua, Borisov, and 3I Atlas form patterns too clean to dismiss. Their paths never intersect, their approaches distributed evenly through space and time, as though part of a coordinated grid, a galactic network of silent observers. Not exploring. Measuring. Watching. Perhaps the most disturbing evidence came not from telescopes, but from Earth itself. Subtle ionospheric disturbances were recorded exactly when 3I Atlas crossed specific orbital positions relative to Earth. Faint magnetic fluctuations, nearly identical to those observed when Oumuamua passed in 2017. They were dismissed as solar interference at the time. Now, they look more like synchronized scans, as if something was briefly probing the upper layers of our atmosphere, logging data we didn't know we were broadcasting. Even more unsettling was what came next. When researchers reanalyzed old sky maps, they found that Atlas had been visible months before its official discovery, faint, almost invisible, but detectable. It had passed through heavily monitored regions of the sky, but its reflectivity and thermal signature were perfectly tuned to blend into cosmic background noise. It's as though the object knew exactly how bright to be to remain unseen, until it wanted to be noticed. Independent astronomers later mapped all interstellar object entries into the solar system using galactic coordinates. The result defied coincidence. The points formed a geometric lattice, not random scatter. The spacing hinted at structure, triangulation, perhaps even a pattern of survey coverage. Each object, including Atlas, occupied a position as though it were part of a vast, ancient network spanning multiple star systems. And that realization cuts deeper than any talk of aliens or ships ever could. Because it suggests that for all our searching, all our listening, all our broadcasts into the void, we were never the observers. We were the observed. We thought 3I Atlas was just another rock. But what if it wasn't? What if its silence is the message? A quiet confirmation that the watchers are real, that they've always been here, patient, invisible, waiting for the one moment when our instruments, and our understanding, would finally be sharp enough to notice the smallest of truths. It was never about them arriving. It was about us finally seeing.